Towards a New Socialism. Section. What is the theoretical basis for a new socialism? The principal bases for a post-Soviet socialism must be radical democracy and efficient planning. The democratic element, it is now clear, is not a luxury or something that can be postponed until conditions are especially favorable. Without democracy, as we have argued above, the leaders of a socialist society will be driven to coercion in order to ensure the production of a surplus product. And if coercion slackens, the system will tend to stagnate. At the same time, the development of an efficient planning system will most likely be impossible in the absence of an open competition of ideas. The failure of Soviet communists to come up with viable socialist reform proposals over recent years is testimony to the malign effects of a system in which conformity and obedience were at a premium. Capitalist societies can achieve economic progress under conditions of political dictatorship. For even under such dictatorship, the realm of private economic activity is relatively unregulated, and the normal processes of competition remain operative, while the suppression of the working class organization may permit a higher rate of exploitation. Under socialism, there can be no such separation of the oppressive state from free economy, and if criteria of ideological correctness dominate in the promotion of managers and even in economic theoretical debate, the long-run prospects for growth and efficiency are dim indeed. On the counts of both democratic institutions and efficient planning mechanisms, we have to say that the problems which emerged in the Soviet case reflect certain weaknesses in classical Marxism. Marx, Engels, and Lenin were much stronger in their critiques of capitalism than in their positive theorizing concerning socialist society. As regards democratic institutions, the Bolsheviks initially latched onto the Soviets of workers and soldiers' deputies as the favored form. While this may have been tactically astute, we argue that the Soviet form is inherently inadequate and indeed dangerous, and that we must look elsewhere for the principles of a socialist democratic constitution. As regards planning mechanisms, Marx and Engels had some interesting suggestions, but these were never developed beyond the level of rather vague generalities. The Soviet planners improvised their own system, which worked for certain purposes in its time. But the development of their thinking about socialist economic mechanisms was limited by what they saw as the need to conform to the canons of Marxism, to avoid and indeed denounce any theoretical methods, such as marginal analysis, that appeared tainted by bourgeois connotations. Western Marxists have argued that this tendency was based on a misinterpretation of Marx. Quite likely so, but the fact that Marx did not attempt to spell out the principles of operation of a planned economy at any length made such a misreading impossible. At any rate, socialism will never again have any credibility as an economic system unless we can spell out such principles in reasonable detail. End of section.